we have to read the Central Series and then the South Series. And then the bird tracks continue to the Tool region, and that continues on to the geology sign in south there to the bottom of the hill there. So now we're looking at a half-mile or more of petroglyphs read in linear order. And they all repeat themselves. This is the Battle of Paquime. That's the Battle of Paquime. And the other one is the Battle of Paquime. And they're all talking about spider clan attacking it with a little bit of water clan attached to it. Now, we know water clan version with Ballalonga shaking its coils and spewing water is not going to destroy a 3,000 room Pueblo. And you see another arrow there. And this arrow is right on top of the H symbol that we symbolize as Paquime. You know, it might be the eye-shaped ball quartz, we're not sure. So this is the Sam Hill cluster here, and the south sequence goes this way and comes that way, and the north sequence goes right up here. So this is not as intense as the Battle of Paquime cluster and sequence we have in the middle there, but it does talk about here about them. That's horny-toed woman and Masao there. That's how you can symbolize Arribi or the Hopi Mesas, which is 410 miles away from here. So this story is the Sam Hill cluster. Now, you'll see there's like a little miniature saddle right here in the middle of this knoll. And this all been the Sam Hill cluster. The story starts right down here and it goes this way. And the North Series, really short, goes that way. Now, the North Series talks about them living along the Rio Grande and them settling at Sequilque. And then the story comes this way and reunites over here on what it looks like the Hopi Poor Mesas. Now, one of the key panels over here, actually a couple of them, but you kind of see like a natural trail right here. And I think the story starts right in here. That center place there, that's that little cross thing with a dot, is the center place, the political capital of these people. Now, when we get down here, I want to show you a couple of panels. Now, we're not going to read all these because we don't have time. I'm just trying to give you a different perspective because we read these several times before. Now, the key panel here is this one here where you have the fish, which is water clan, the Rio Casas Grandes River, that center place, the political capital, what would be called a Coronado Million, Anasazi Mayan Hopi people. Now, there's more Hopi people than anything. Now, this is Tiwahumba with an impossibly large, equivalently a burden basket. You see his burden basket here. And you see that big old pot belly he has? His belly's like really full of food. So he's got either food from Saktunangu, the creator himself, or from the deer, butchering the deer and taking the leg bone. And then you see the fish there, and then what I think is the Rio Grande that they talk about living in. And there's several sites around Los Lunas that Mike Marshall mapped. They're in the shape of Saktunangu and the boy riding a deer, and I posted that on Facebook several times. If you read the book of the Holy Villa, it says it would have architecture going back to the Hopi Mesas that help identify these people and their house types and stuff. Now, this panel over here is really awesome because what happens is they called Hopi First Mesa Quilke, and it was named after the flowers that grew on it. Sequilque meaning flower butte, and they didn't call it Hopi First Mesa. And you'll see this bird sucking pollen and a flower there. Very few flowers here. This is a notched ladder that you have to get up the mesas, and that's a footprint. These is not slather there. I know it's kind of stylized, but what happens here is you got the footprint crossing over the Rio Grande. I think they get done in the Rio Grande, and they're actually getting over here closer to the Hopi mesas and Hopi First Mesa, where you actually see the bird or the flower with snake rock, and you have very few flowers here on this site. So when you find a flower and snake rock together like that, you're like, wow. So this is snake rock here, and you see the sand blown off right here. This is the sand blown off, the explosion of mesa and these particles. Then that's snake rock there. Now we wouldn't know that, but for this flower right here, you see the flower and the snake rock and the Hopi mesas. So we know when you see that, the flower, and then this is the center place. So Rybe, the Hopi mesas, that's the center place, and that's the mountain across it at Paquime. So that's one of the symbols they identify their tribe with. But this is a big old flower, and Hopi First Mesa had flowers going on it. It had sand, and the sand absorbed the water, and the flowers grew profusely on it. But at some point, the sand blew off down into the bottom and left the mesa exposed and exposed snake rock. So when you find that with this flower, and then back there where they were sucking pollen out of that flower, then we know this story reads this way. And what happens is that pretty much the South Series goes around the knoll and comes this way, and they all pretty much end right here at this panel here, just south of the rest stop, which makes it convenient. So third mesa, second mesa, first mesa, and then we had Antelope Mesa where Owarvi sat there, Sikiaki sat there, and then Walpi sat there on top, and then Palaka sat down there on the bottom, first mesa. And Ravi's over here, Shiksampongi and Mishapongi in the second mesa there. So, wonderful story of the Hopi people. And they left it here. And of course, Dr. Steve Lexon guessed this site here. He says we'll never know unless they, conveniently tucked a library or something out in the Coronado and left it there. It'd be really nice. So that's what happened here. Of course, I spent 50 years on this site. So it took 22 years to figure out the Mogollon were Hopi, and I was worked pretty hard on petroglyphs, and I knew if I could figure out the Mogollon, it'd be by the writing system, their oral histories. Because the archaeologists haven't done it in 120 years. They've been digging sites. They still don't know who the Hopi people are, and they still don't know or who the Mogollon and Anasazi, what became of them. I think a lot of it has to do with the mysterious disappearance and cells, things. But I really don't understand the Mogollon archaeologists, because they never even ask who the Mogollon people were. It's like they're studying a laboratory rat that has no past, no future, no descendants, no ancestors, no clans, no religion. It's just a suite of artifacts, a sterile suite of artifacts that they can manipulate, count, weigh, measure. But it has nothing to do with culture, has nothing to do with religious beliefs, clan histories, tribal histories, clan migrations. It has nothing to do with the warfare, nothing to do with the writing system. The writing system totally ignored. I mean, if you did that to the Mayan people down there and try to do Mayan archaeology without studying, and all the Mayan symbols, when you look at them, they started with petroglyphs. Every one of them did. You start analyzing them, the elements of them, you'll see cupped hands with food and knives and axes and trees getting cut down. And so they'll put an axe with a tree with a symbol down, and that will be a Mayan symbol. All three of them combined, and it gets standardized. And then some of them have sound attached to them, which With here, you could have the Mochni, which is Mulkey, Paquime, and Paki clan, Water clan, and then Paquime. They said they built that. Matadal is a Aztec word. Coyote, Matadi. So a lot of these things are still with us today. We use coyote. It was a Hopi word, a Uto-Aztecan word, and so there's a lot of linguistic evidence we could be using. And as far as the Navajo and Apaches and Anasazi, glottochronology would help there. Linguistics, I don't know what American linguistics do, but they don't do petroglyphs. They don't do very good Indian stuff either that I ever seen. They did a lot better work 100 years ago than they do now. I haven't heard nothing at all from any New Mexico State University anthropology student or linguistics student, English major, or nothing at all about petroglyphs in a writing system except from Joe Ben. And when I was over there, they told me that wasn't a writing system, and I'd have to take Spanish, French, or math to get my degree. I couldn't substitute petroglyphs as a second language. And I tried adamantly, and they told me no. They didn't even consider it. They're closed-minded people. So 50 years later, we're proving they were wrong, and that they had a writing system, and it's here. There's plenty of evidence here and plenty of videos and posts for anybody to get in here and do peer review, write their own books, reports, argue with me, agree with me. But I think what we're having is part of the prophecies, and mysterious fog will dilute the minds of wise men. That's the only thing that makes sense after 28 years of knowing these were Hopi and trying to educate the academia, or anybody really. Hopi's college students. I think the only ones that really understand this are the people on my Facebook that have been there the last 10 years and been reading everything. I think they're more educated than all the PhDs, anthro PhDs at UNM combined, and New Mexico State University also. At least you know their cultures, their clan histories. You know the Mogollon and Anasazi are the same people. We know the Mogollon and Anasazi are a suite of artifacts. The archaeologists don't know that. The academia don't know that. They're still pandering with Mogollon as a culture and Anasazi as a culture, and they're not. And it's pretty obvious to me and the Hopi people when you review the 3 petroglyphs, time and time again, there's nothing else they could be. I tried Acoma, the Carisan Pekin people. I gave at the International Pueblo Center in Albuquerque. I gave a talk there in 2001, and the director of that was from Acoma, and he's told me in flat terms that Chaco was Carisan. So, of course, I didn't agree with him totally. I know most of that was organized by the Mayan people, a royal family actually moved up there. And the rest of them, the common stock was the Hopi people, the old basket makers, the San Juan and the Four Corners people. That was a heavy population there. The edge of the Cedars down to Mesa Verde, down to Aztec was just loaded with sites and 5 rooms and a kiva. So I think the Mayan moved up there to organize it through religion, and they bamboozled them with solstices and alignments, things that the Anasazi had no knowledge of. And the Mayan were the most sophisticated people on earth at that time as far as astronomy and mathematics. That's where we got the concept of zero, I think. I'm not sure. But at any rate, the Mayan were the only ones that were evolved enough and had enough state government behind them and tribal warfare, and that they moved in mass up here. I'm not sure how many. I don't think a lot. Around 500, 600 AD with the Kachina and their deities, but the Kachina cult was pretty much started in the Southwest after Paquime was destroyed, especially. We see very few Kachinas here at this site here at Three Rivers. Uh, very few. Today, the modern Hopi have 300 or 400 Kachinas. So we know after the Mogollon Hopi abandoned this area around 1425, 1450 Common Era, that they went to the Hopi Masons and discontinued a lot of stuff that was at Paquime, and they left their tribal stories here, and before they left. And now they knew their tribal histories, oral histories better than anybody. They didn't have to put this stuff here. They already knew everything they wrote here. The only thing I can think of is they put it here to let us know their clans came by here. It was part of their religion. It was part of their covenant to put their clan migrations on the rock. Now, fears is special in another way. Beyond all that, the clan histories and leaving party on the ground. It gets back to the prophecies. We have prophecies here, very detailed prophecies. Maybe one of the greatest prophets on earth left his record here. They're 600 years old. We had photos that are over 100 years old of some of the petroglyphs there. We know they're not modern, which some people accuse me of making them because they look so fresh and modern. And it's just because of the hornblende and biotite in the rock makes the symbols stand out really cool. And the weathering, the furnace black on the rock, probably from the last 20, 30,000 years of exposure from atmospheric conditions, atmospheric moisture, clay, dirt, dust, pollen, all attaches with rain, and it leaches out the mineral hornblende and biotite. It makes the patina, crust or rind on the rock. And when you peck it, you have a lighter colored rock. So that's how they made the petroglyphs. They'd pick up another rock and peck it, or they'd use one rock and hit that rock for more detail and precision. So this is a writing system. Some of these things are mnemonic, like Horny Toad and Spider Woman. They remind you of a story that's been told and handed down for generations, for hundreds of years. And so that's the only way that we can read these is familiarize ourselves with every aspect of Hopi culture. I can't imagine being a Mogollon archaeologist down here, not knowing anything about the Hopi people, because you're not doing your job. Number one, the Mogollon have clan histories, tribal histories, religious beliefs, and family names like Hiuuthi, Tiohamba. So we know their names. When you say Mogollon, you got a laboratory rat, a sterile laboratory rat. No culture, just a suite of artifacts. We're going to study their pots, their mentalities, their arrowheads, but we don't know anything about their clans or tribal histories or warfare or anything like that. We just do a suite of artifacts, and that's all, and we call that a culture. So you really can't have a Southwestern culture without clan and clan histories and tribal beliefs and religious beliefs and deities and folk heroes like Hiuuthi and Tiwahanga. So I would give the archaeologists A plus in dendrochronology. I would give them an A plus in their ceramics, the ceration, dating the ceramics and the tree ring dates. And I would give them a big fat F in cultural anthropology. I give them a big fat F in archaeology. I give them a big fat F in listening, paying attention. I give them a big fat F, not listening to oral histories. If they'd have done that many, many moons ago, we'd have been further down the road, and all the research designs could have been built around the Hopi people, not Mogollon as a suite of artifacts. We don't know who they are. And really, nobody's even caring who they are. Nobody's even expressing a desire to know what happened to them. And if they do, they go to Paquime, and then they end up with a question mark. What happened after Paquime? If they get that far, they still don't know what happened to the Anasazi. They don't know that they moved down here. They should, but they don't. So, to me, one of the greatest things I ever done in my life was get a hold of Van Martineau that wrote The Rocks Begin to Speak. And if you read that book, you'll understand a lot of the map symbols out here when you go out on this landscape and all the little bitty sites. They're locating springs and water and caves and rock shelters and things, resources, things beneficial to the Indian back in them days. So Levan did a brilliant job there. When you come to their tribal histories and clan histories and stuff like that, like Threer's, the bigger sites, it's a little more difficult. But as long as you have the Hopi Shuren, their culture, their history, their clan history, their oral history, and we can match them up with the petroglyphs, and we can proceed with caution. To call it rock art instead of art or style is ludicrous. I mean, it might be okay the first 50 or 100 years, but after that, it's time to move on from rock art and styles and going into linguistics and what they mean and interpret them. And when you interpret them, how do you know that's what they mean? You know, how can you substantiate your interpretations? So, of course, any writing system has built-in consistency, and that's what enables you to crack the code, is that built-in consistency. And we see that time and time again here with the bird tracks, the Grand Canyon, Sipapu, the same clans, Parrot and Bear Clan, and the Tool Reed. We see it over there on West Snow. There are all three of the Hopi creation or emergence myth there. So just a wonderful sight. And one day, other archaeologists and academia will pretty much have to accept all this, and we can move on and do better archaeology. At least I hope so. If not, then at least the people that read my posts and uh, get on my Facebook every day and watch these videos, at least they'll know more about archaeology and prehistory than academia. And also, maybe your kids will be uh, familiarized with it at an early age, and they might, like I did, start early in life, like my dad did in Turo, so he learned how to speak Spanish before he even knew he was speaking it. He didn't know when he never spoke Spanish. So hopefully, some of my posts will allow either parents or their kids to come out here and do a self-interpretive study of these petroglyphs. You could use the videos as a tour guide and understand them, or at the very least, watch the videos and then try to understand them. Joe Ben Sanders, Deer's Petroglyph site, uh, July 12th, I believe, Sunday, 2026. Adios, God bless.